Afternoon, VC, Harris here with another video. Spurred on by I watched Rob Walker, doyen of the VC, on a couple of live streams, and he's worried. He's saying he's saying that the live streams are sucking the life out of the normal videos on the VC, like the one take videos. You know, he's saying people are abandoning those and just doing live streams, and he could have a point. Maybe the VC's dying. I've no idea. I can only imagine the scenes at VC HQ. I imagine it was like, operator, get me Pilton, and the flare went up. I've answered the call. I've decided I think he was sort of saying, you know, a little bit more imagination is needed. So I've thought I've worked furiously on this video for the last 40 minutes, and fascinating facts about the albums you love that you didn't know. So okay, admittedly some people might know some of these facts, but I didn't. And a couple of these actually I thought were a little bit, well, certainly one is a bit of a jaw dropper. But yeah, so let's kick off with the Ramones, End of the Century. I do quite like this. Bit of a turning point for the Ramones. Went a bit, going in more pop. Obviously, the fact that everyone knows is that it was produced by gun-toting lunatic, loose cannon Phil Spector, who was actually waving guns about in the studio, and I think pointed one at Johnny's head. And so yeah, not a bad album. But this was everywhere in the UK because Baby I Love You went top 10 in 1981. I remember, or 1980. I remember seeing it on Top of the Pops, and I think a lot of kids rushed out and bought this and then were a little bit disappointed by it. And I remember second-hand shops were just awash with these by the mid-80s. But yeah, what's the fascinating fact? Well, it's not a bad album. Rock and Roll Radio, I'm Affected, Danny Says, Chinese Rock, not the best version. Would it have sounded better with Bruce Springsteen's Hungry Heart on it? Hey Harris, why are you suggesting that? Because Bruce Springsteen and Joey Ramone met up once, had a chat, and Bruce Springsteen said, I'll write a song for you. And the song that Bruce Springsteen wrote for the Ramones was Hungry Heart. Bruce Springsteen's manager, Jim Landau, was getting a bit sick of Bruce Springsteen giving songs away. He'd already given Blinded by the Light to the Manfred Mann Band, and he'd already given Because the Night to Patti Smith, and they were both massive hits. So Jim Landau, I think he was called Jim Landau, his manager went, no way you giving Hungry Heart to the Ramones. And so he didn't, and he had a big hit with it. But yeah, I've checked, I've done some research. Bruce Springsteen wrote Hungry Heart in 1980 for the Ramones. I think it would have slotted in quite nicely on this album, actually. But yeah, kept it for himself and had a big hit with it. So fair play. It would have been like, take it away, Dee Dee. 1, 2, 3, 4. Everybody got a hungry heart. Everybody got a hungry heart. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, I think it would have worked. Next up, The Queen is Dead by the Smiths. Things we do know about this album, or most Smiths fans would. It was originally going to be called Margaret on the Guillotine, which of course then became the final track on Morrissey's debut album. So it was going to be called Margaret on the Guillotine. Then it was going to be called Big Mouth Strikes Again. I think most Smiths fans are fully aware of that. The introduction, the Take Me Down to London intro is taken from the film The L-Shaped Room, which was a fantastic kitchen sink novel by Lynn Reed Banks. That was on our school curriculum. Seems unbelievable now, doesn't it? But yeah, when I went to school, that was on the curriculum. And yeah, fantastic. But the thing a lot of people won't know, Johnny Marr wrote the fantastic, one of my favourite tracks of Cemetery Gates, almost a Kinkesian classic with the fantastic lyric, there's always someone somewhere with a big nose who knows and trips you up and laughs when you fall. Cemetery Gates. I have the Johnny Marr autobiography, Set the Boy Free, autographed by the great man. He's touched this. Every mention of Cemetery Gates in this book, he spells wrong. They spell it R-E-Y. What's that about? Spelt right on the cover, spelt wrong in his book. Ridiculous. What's that all about? Never mind. What a nutter. So yeah, that's my fascinating fact. I'm reaching a bit with that one. Next up, let's go with the White Album. This is the copy that I mentioned before. I bought off Barry in Boohoo about 6 years ago. Numbered, top opening, vinyl's in great nick, sleeves a little bit. £10. £10. His words still ring in my ears. Have you heard it? There's no tunes. £10 for that. Brilliant. No inserts, but still a bit of a bargain. Fascinating facts about the White Album. It was the most pre-ordered album at the time in England. There were 300,000 pre-orders in England, and there were 2 million pre-orders in America. In England, this cost 73 shillings in 1968, which is £3.65. I've got there. You can go on the inflation calculator. £3.65 was a roughly £49 in England in today's money. The average wage in 1968 in England was £1,144. I looked on the internet. That's £16,000 in today's money. So kids who were buying this were probably, if they were working, were on about 10 grand in today's money. We're having to stump up 50 quid for this record. That seems nuts, doesn't it? So, you know, most kids now probably on their first jobs about 20 grand. So that's like a kid now having to stump up 100 grand for a new record. But it does seem phenomenal, doesn't it? Records, we say records are expensive now. They were mental back then as well, because people just earned less. But yeah, crazy. So yeah, that's me White Album. Fascinating fact. The Stone Roses debut. This is I bought this day of release, 9 in the morning. I probably bought one of the first ever copies of this. It's got the embossed sleeve. It goes for a few bob now, I think, about 150 quid now. I'm not sure if people know this or not. My favourite song in it, my two favourite songs on this album are often people's two least favourite. My two favourite songs on here are Bye Bye Bad Man, which I think is phenomenal, and Song for My Sugar Spun Sister, which I love both of those. Bye Bye Bad Man is about, although you wouldn't realise it, I think, is about the Paris student riots in 1968. The reason he talks about citrus soaked sunshine in the lyrics and the lemons on the John Squire cover. John Squire's cover is brilliant, and it's because the students in the Paris 1968 riots were getting tear gassed by the police, and one way of reducing the effect of tear gas is to suck a lemon. So that's one of the reasons they put lemons on this cover. My other fascinating fact is Gary Neville, Manchester United legend, when he had his testimonial match in 2011, he got Ian Brown, the lead singer of the Stone Roses, to sing This Is the One in front of 75,000 people while they were walking. There's YouTube evidence of this, and I really recommend you go and watch it. It's absolutely fantastic. So yeah, Gary Neville testimonial, This Is the One, was sung by Ian Brown. Fantastic stuff. Next up, this one's I find this interesting. The Clash, the singles. I'm sure a lot of people love this. Came out in 91. The Clash are the band that released the most singles in UK chart history before having a top 10 single, which I kind of find amazing. How do I know this? Because I've got the Bible here, the British hit singles. This is the copy you won't. You get this in any charity shop. It's got all the singles, all the albums up until 2006. This used to be my Bible. I used to get this every year as a kid. So it's ridiculous. They were pretty much all the same, except they were a year on. I used to have them all. Yeah, and The Clash, it's in here. The Clash's singles, they didn't have a number one, and that's a bit of a cheat. Their number one was Should I Stay or Should I Go in 91, which I think was released off the back of a Levi's commercial, wasn't it? Yeah, Fight the System. Up until then, I think they've released 20 songs. So there may have been more bands that have had more songs that haven't charted, but no one released that many songs before getting a top 10 hit. I've gone through the whole book. It's official. If anyone thinks otherwise, please let me know. But yeah, incredible. This is a mind melter for me. This is a mind melter. Husker Du's New Day Rising. A fantastic album. The opening track, New Day Rising, is probably their fiercest ever song. Bob Mould just repeating the line New Day Rising, getting louder and louder, screaming louder and louder. Grant Hart whacking a drum set like someone's got a gun to his head, and the guitar's overloading all over the place. Robert Palmer, Mr. Addicted to Love, Mr. Some Kind of People, started singing Husker Du's New Day Rising as a medley in his live sets of 1987. This is no word of a lie. I can't believe it. I mean, Husker Du would have been completely unknown, really, in 87. New Day Rising's their most extreme track. If you go onto YouTube and put in Robert Palmer New Day Rising, he does it as part of a medley. It's bizarre. I mean, even if you'd understand it if you'd done like the Sex Pistols or the Motorhead or, I don't know, the Clash, because they were kind of known. But Husker Du in 87 still would have been a very, very niche act. And that is probably one of their most extreme songs. How the hell Robert Palmer started singing it in a medley of tunes, I've no idea. But it's on YouTube. You can go and check it out. He only does it for a little bit. But yeah, it's on there. And I have no idea. It seems like the bizarrest fact in rock. Oh, absolutely nuts. And Fleetwood Mac's Tusk. I know this. I can't prove this, but I've read a lot of music books. I mean, I have about 300 or 400 music books over there. From what I've read a lot, this was the record that got taken back or given to second-hand record shops the most in the history of music. It was the record after Rumours. It's a double album, and people were expecting another Rumours and got it, and people were just a little bit disappointed, it would be fair to say. It's actually, now the dust has settled, it's a pretty decent album, Tusk. It's not bad. Fantastic. Fascinating fact though, why was it called Tusk? Well, I've been on the internet. Apparently, Tusk was the nickname for Mick Fleetwood's meat and two veg. His appendage, his wife's best friend. That's what they say. So that's why they call the album Tusk, apparently. Now, I was thinking, if I did the same, and I took the same approach, my debut album would have to be called, and I've written it down, The Disco Stick or The Jolly Pink Giant. It's not Radiohead, is it? But, yeah. Thanks for your suggestions on those. So, Gary Neville, Lemons and My Penis. I think we've covered all areas here. Thanks for watching. See you soon.